Alright guys, welcome back to the Platinum Division for the T90 Titans League Season 2, and we've got NBL here in the pink trunks as Byzantines, a nice civ for building defensive health, cheap, trash and camel riders, a cheap Imperial Age tech. He's up against Draken, spawning on the north side as the Italians. Nice archers and navy civilization. So Italians get cheaper age ups across the board at 15%, while the Imperial Age cost reduction for Byzantines is a lot larger at 33% versus 15% for that one age, but ultimately there's no benefit to the castle and feudal age ups. On top of that, the fire ships may eventually have access to Greek fire for the increased range, but that won't kick in until Castle Age, I don't believe. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure there's a Castle Age unique tech, as most of the old ones generally were. Yeah, so it's the Castle Age Castle Tech with Logistica giving trample to Cataphracts in Imperial or Draken. Access to some unique units, and I believe he can actually get them out of, or get the Condottiero out of the barracks, while the castle he can produce those genies crossbowmen. It's not till the barracks age you actually, Castle Age, barracks age. Imperial Age, you actually get the Condottiero through the barracks. Until then, the condos. Actually, no, they're available for your teammates from Imperial. Not that that'll matter here. And apologies, guys. Bit of a word salad today. So, that player's aging up. We're here. Well, not aging up just yet, but working on it. Here on Shoals. So it's got this interesting sea tower placement right next to this passage that these players can actually cross. Although, unfortunately for Draken, he's a little bit further over. It'd probably be nice if it was right here, so he could always dock and take those two schools. But at the same time, being right here, he can dock just behind it. So that might be also to his benefit that the dock's actually positioned directly behind it. But in saying that, this is really nice for NBL. He's got 3 really close schools of fish, and that sea tower is actually going to be right on that land, giving him the most line of sight down that passage, because we can often find people streaming cavalry or archers down here, trying to unsettle their opponent. So it's like Mediterranean, but good. The players start producing fishing ships and make their way to the feudal age. The thing with this map as well, most of the peripheral gold is actually, well, there is a tiny bit beside your bases. In fact, there's not really a safe gold at all at home. Like these guys are well outside town center range. Particularly Drakens, they're quite a way away from his base, or maybe they just look it because there's no wood line in front of it. And then the bulk of the gold on the map is actually the peripheral golds here that our players are going to want to try and put their side town centers at. So some interesting maps for our players to deal with today. No great war loss yet, no military on the way. Our players Probably content, yeah, to get feudal and try and fight with warships before they start worrying about barracks units, although MBL bringing some villages across, so he might be looking at trying some forward base, put a barracks and maybe a range or a stables, even possibly a dock after that to really unsettle Draken here. So Draken taking the gold mine and starting to wall off, but MBL momentarily set back by the alligator, or crocodile I should say. Yeah buddy, we're not overly Americanized today, we've got crocs, not alligators. Sorry, it's an Australian thing, we've got crocodiles here but not alligators, so whenever we hear about alligators it's like, oh, you're so American. So Draken, I think, has figured out that the cockroach is likely to attempt some form of aggression here, walling himself in. MBL going for a range, he's taken the barracks at home in the meanwhile. So spears being produced at home, but actually going to run down the center of the map. Presto. A forward tower here for MBL. Draken will see that this is going down, I'm sure. But perhaps he's thinking there's not a lot he can do about it at the moment, other than just get as much gold as he can and back out. Doing blacksmith and market. Probably just going to try and resettle on the other gold mine for now. Right now MBL going to make it untenable to stay here. So Draken just shy of the gold he's going to need to get to castle. He's got the buildings he needs to get there. Villager fighting the scout for the time being, and Draken is trying to set up some sort of wall off there, but it's not really been worthwhile. Looks like he'll be able to get this palisade wall popping though. Here we go, so Draken managed to get the gold to age up here. Where did he actually mine it all from? Because I thought he was about... Oh, he must have bought gold. So I was going to say, I thought he was about 10, 15 gold short. So I was thinking, oh, you might just distance mine it, walk back, drop off, and then age up. But he's got other ideas, actually. He's got barracks here for Draken. He's just walled out these units. Going to take castle. Well, MBL still in feudal for the moment. Going to start adding some fire ships, try poke and prod at his opponent. Draken access to one of these golds, which is nice because MBL's going to have to try and get on this one, although it looks like he, for now, isn't going to have a lot of problems doing so. And bearing in mind he's got safe gold at home as well, so this way Draken securing this area, you know, by proxy he's got control of this anyway, so it's a good idea coming down here even though it's a little bit greedier, because it's going to mean that this little night push might get lucky and pick off some of these hunters. If he can do that, he can really create himself a bit of an advantage here, because right now MBL, even though he's going castle, I think he's up by a couple of eco pop at the moment. Oh, Draken has got a fire galley. Doesn't look to be getting fire ships at the moment. Just adding some knights. NBL having to get the fuck out of there. So the villagers actually walling in the knight somewhat to make it easier for that spear to fight in. But bearing in mind, spear without the pikeman upgrade, obviously not the best of trades. So you probably need a pair of them. So Castle Age coming in for NBL. Draken just getting villagers for the time being. And it doesn't look as though he's managed to add any extra villagers just yet. It's a nice harass here from Draken, going to be able to pick up a fishing boat. NBL doesn't seem to realise this. Now he's pulling back the others. But he's already dropped a fishing boat. That's a little rough for him. He'll start producing warships of his own. Some fire galleys already in tow there. All these outposts. That one's not really doing anything, he could just cancel that, but this one, good oversight of his opponent's base. Draken going for that second town centre, and NBL will know all about it. Right now, the water seems to be Draken's way at the moment. He's up by a couple of villages. That second town centre down. Slightly quicker than his opponents. NBL can have to try and secure this one over here. While Draken is trying to secure, or trying to save the scout cav. Now there's some more. Ooh, fire ship upgrade here for NBL. So Draken gonna have to be very careful with these ships because he'll be fighting at a huge disadvantage. These guys are now tanky enough to pretty much ignore the sea tower until they're actually trying to take it on. Otherwise, you know, he can probably always just pull back and then secure his own dock economy once again. The second town centre on the way for NBL. Sending some spears over there as well. Cleaning up all the warships for now. That little feudal army's just chilling for the time being while he gets a bit more stone. So most of these ships, or all the ships for the Draken going down now. NBL gonna have to try and save that fire ship, but again, it's sort of stuck there. I think he realised that he probably wasn't going to get it out. Oh, he is going to get it out. He's going to try and work on the... It's really a bit dangerous doing this, actually. Because if he fucks this up, he just loses the ships. And on top of that, you know, he might have to repair them through this. Because Draken will be adding more ships. And he's actually got a second dock here. So he can clean up these low ships, even with just the fire galley. Nothing really else going on for the time being, but yeah, it's funny seeing the fire galleys take on fire ships and win. Although that tower's been taken out now, so Draken's going to have to play very carefully on the water here and rely on getting an upgrade to his boats, or just basically accepting defeat on the water here for the time being. NBL trying to creep forward both sides of the map for the moment. Siege workshop starting for Draken now. He's going to take out one NBL's fishing boats. Should be able to take out that fire galley pretty easily because there's no upgrade transition here for Draken, but ooh, having to retask his fishing boats does eat up a little bit of gather time. So we've got siege both sides of the fence here, so Mangonel for NBL. Draken doesn't seem to be adding any siege just yet. He's had the faster workshop, but he just hasn't committed to any siege yet. On top of that, he's still making fire galleys, not fire ships. So Draken, I would have thought he'd have access. Yeah, he's got access to fire ships and fast fire ships, but he's just using his fire galleys for the time being, so right now he's at a big disadvantage on the water until he can take that upgrade. So MBL in fire galley vs fire ship does lose that one in the end, but it would have been low taking that fight to begin with. MBL just reeling this towards a clump of villagers, trying to take the long way around. Just a tad too close to the town centre, and there's a garrison there from Draken, so this thing's going to have to try and wheel his way through here if he can, putting him at risk of that scout cave. So Draken's going to pick that off. NBL still not really able to make use of this force at all. He probably should try and chip through either of these sections of wall just to tie up Draken and make use of them, because they're just parked there doing nothing at the moment. He's had this little army advantage most of the game, but hasn't really been able to make use of them. I think even just trying to chip away at the buildings, as pointless as it sounds, at least it means Draken's eventually got to clean them up, or you can slowly work on these farmers. Obviously trying to win this fight is his imperative, but even still, I think he could possibly disrupt the farming eco here, and I mean eventually destroy those structures. A little bit of wood, and either way it forces Draken to have to try and do something about it. And be able to trying desperately to Draken's own Mangonel hitting the monk there, his own monk. This is right next to the building. I think MBL was hoping that stacking a monk there, Draken would hit it and do it again, kill another monk of his own. So Draken creeping forward with another castle. So this is looking really scary here for MBL, because I mean he's still got that military advantage, but a lot of it's tied up in ships and in shitty feudal units over here, just trash. So he needs to be working towards something. Just getting Mangonels over this other side, getting cavalry over this side to defend with. Imperial Age on the way here for Draken, so you just need to try and get a bit of value out of this push right now, because MBL is going to start trying to base range him back at home, start split pushing here. Yep, so that Mangonel. Really patient MBL leaving all this stuff here. Like I'd have honestly just started pressuring with this. But at the same time, maybe it's been worth it, because he's managed to snipe a couple of villages already. Draken's really only just caught on to all this. At the same time, Draken slowly working through MBL's base wall. There's that cavalry mass on the way. We've got, what, 2 town centers here for Draken, while MBL has gone up to 2 as well, but this second one might be in a bit of trouble soon. Players trying to work each other's town centers down. Castle going up for MBL. Another one here for Draken, so once he hits him, he'll be able to start... Oh, and he's getting masonry here, so he's got a bit of extra building armor. He'll be able to start using trebuchets to clear through the castles and through the town centers a little bit faster than the Mangonels will, and on top of that, the masonry upgrade is going to be useful to try and actually give these buildings a bit more beefiness, a little bit more health, a little bit more armor in the face of the siege in particular. But every unit will benefit, really. Oh, and that Mangonel shot going to hit one of the villagers. One of the Tiero coming out now out of the barracks. I think these guys might make a mess of things. These feudal age units won't fare all that well against them. The spears actually not rallied defensively. They're just stand ground. Well, they're not even stand ground. They're just idle. So now the spears get to action, but they shouldn't really be able to do anything there against a late game infantry like that. Now MBL going to try and raid while Treb's now on the field for Draken, so he's starting to really work through the castles there. MBL trying to sneak in a nice little raid here. So he should be able to get on a bunch of food gatherers on that side. Over here, Condos running into stuff that they can handle pretty easily, I think, because there's only the light cav there to deal with them. Now we've got some knights coming out. So MBL gonna have to try and get to castle here. Well, Draken is looking pretty secure at the moment. Vilpops are still pretty even though MBL has been cutting through all these villages. Now some condos should be coming in to clean things up. More trebs hitting the field here for not too sure what block printing actually does. Yeah, more trebs hitting the field here for Draken. He's going to add some Raxes as well so he can start flooding his opponent with Condottiero. MBL, a lot of town centers, 3 town centers going up at the side here, so he'll be able to boom immensely. 6 town centers here for him. I think he pretty much expects to lose this base, but in the meantime, if he can outproduce Draken through it all, he might be able to stay ahead on the villager lead, take Imp, and stay in this game. Bearing in mind, Draken is looking really set up on this top side and is about to push MBL outside of what is his original base. So MBL's going to have to reseed a lot of farms, save all these villages, and still try and prod Draken back at home somewhere. Draken, Condottiero alone almost can hold off the Castle Age cavalry. In fact, Draken not fucking around, starting to capture some buildings, but at the same time MBL converting units while he hightails it out of there. Condos streaming across the map through the center, but not really going to get a huge amount done. Draken trying to go for a castle, but there's actually a battering ram parked right where he wants to go for it. He's going to have to try and push that thing off there. Being Woolalood there. But all the monks having a regen here. So now castle from Draken is going to go up, a little bit delayed, but it will get there. So MBL, a lot of production sandwiched over here, and he looks pretty safe back at home. Well, not at this home, but in his new home. The Draken, that's a healthy score lead he's got there. He's only just down in terms of eco, but he is up in terms of the military and in terms of the map control. So is this a bit of a slow death roll that Draken has pulled MBL into, or will MBL be able to counter things from here? Bearing in mind, MBL still has better presence on the water. His fire ship has only just kicked in for Draken. MBL's eco, on the water is a lot more dominant here. Which could be a bit of a double-edged sword, considering Draken is now about to add a Paradox and start making use of his fire ship upgrade that MBL's had for quite some time. Well, there's a big push. The crossbows. Painfully Condottiero in there as well. MBL now hitting Imperial Age. Having to rely on some defensive castles and the fact that he's just gone all the way up to like 6 or 7 town centers here. In the end, yeah, he's already lost. That's his 3rd town center lost, and he's still got another 5. So it's pretty impressive. But he's been chased all around the map by Draken at this point. So he really needs his own split push attempt to actually get some value here. And now with Draken with that castle on this side, it really looks like he's gaining control of 2/3 of the map here. Draken's even stealing MBL's farms, which is really quite powerful because it is saving you that wood and stopping your opponent from being able to, get the food out of them if he ever pushes back. Obviously, if you reseed the farm, same deal. That's a lot of trebuchets now, and I don't know what MBL is going to mass up to deal with this, considering he's also being pushed off the water here, so that water eco is starting to diminish. He's got a huge villager count at 155 though, so even if he loses that water eco, he's right to pretty much just spam all these crossbows and whatever else he's looking to try and field right now. In fact, ooh, it's mostly just skirms, a huge trash army, so this might actually be great considering that there's a lot of Genies crossbowmen, but there's a lot of Condottiero as well, so he needs something to deal with them, and these guys really don't have the damage to do it, I don't think. Even if you are Byzantines, like, they're so cheap and massable, but it's slow going, this fight. In the meanwhile, there is 5 trebuchets working away at his castle. They're soon to be working away at his town centre here. Over on the far side, Draken is pushing as well. Galleons now, fast fire ships, so he's got Imperial ship upgrades at this point. Able to start getting a water eco himself if he chooses to do so, and he's completely destroyed MBLs up and over here. So I don't know how MBL's going to hold on from here. He's using a shitload of skirms to do it though, and perhaps he's forced Draken to have to try and get basically either pure condo or even add some cavalry to assist them here. Because even though they're not that great against a melee, they will really punish the Genies crossbowmen. So momentarily Draken's being held up, but is MBL going to be able to pull the rabbit out of the hat here? Because I mean, both players are sitting on a shitload of gold, so they'll be able to build all the gold units they want. They can trade gold into stone even to keep making castles, town centers. MBL somehow making mass skirm work, and now he's getting a bunch of cataphracts as well, so these guys will probably give him that front line that he's really looking for. Can he get this castle up in time, considering that's quite a bit of siege working away at that? A pair of trebuchets there, as well as these galleons working away at the villages, so MBL somehow has the vill count to make it through this. This is impressive that he's holding on this late on. He's seemingly been behind for a huge portion of the game now, yet Draken not really able to mount that final boat that he's looking for. Huge number of trebs, but now MBL's starting to get trebs of his own, so he can finally start pushing back on the trebs, even if Draken tries to evacuate these. And Draken will get that last castle, but we'll lose a trebuchet. Now that there's cataphracts here as well, the trebs are going to get wiped out a hell of a lot faster than if it was just pure skirm. And these guys now have all their Imperial upgrades as well, so somehow MBL is holding on by the skin of his teeth, but Draken, very impressive, continuing to take more and more ground off MBL. MBL can't afford to let Draken do this for too much longer. And I think Draken knows it. It's the idea now. He's even using ships to try and help out as much as possible, forcing MBL to try and take a fight. Lulled down on ship upgrades, which was always rough. This town centre being cleared out, so a lot of this gold is being locked off by Draken, so he's taking even more space off MBL, but at the same time he seemingly isn't quite able to break into down here. Another forward castle going to prevent a lot of gathering, deny even more space over here, allow for trebuchet camping around here so they can start taking out more structures, denying more farming area. These skirms not really going to do a lot of damage to the building. Now Kondo's sneaking in to the farms once again, but there is a legion of cataphracts here to clean that up. If I was Draken, I'd be yelling at my screen telling MBL to surrender, because fucking hell, he has really boxed him in on both sides of the map. But for the time being, MBL is sustaining. He does have that gold income, like I said. Doesn't really have any stone income, but the moment he pulls up ahead on gold, he can always buy some stone. And there's not a huge amount of gold left for Draken. He seemingly chomped through a lot more of it, because MBL, considering he's been fighting this with a trash composition, Draken's going to hope to push MBL off this gold before his own gold supply runs out. He's really only got half the amount over here that he had originally. Bearing in mind he's got possession of this neutral gold, I mean this sort of starting gold that he never quite got on top of. NBL is eventually going to have to add enough cataphracts or add some siege so he can really start pushing back here, because Draken continued to box him in more and more over the course of this game. Villager count starting to favour Draken, because I don't think NBL has the space to have 150 villagers anymore. This trash army is seemingly unending at the moment. Slowly losing some structures here, but he seemingly has enough houses that it shouldn't matter if he loses some of those peripheral ones. He's still nearly maxed out here and continuing to add a fuckload of units, but there's a huge number of cavs hitting the field here for Draken. So now there's arbs for NBL, so these are actually going to fare a lot better against those knights and against the Condottiero. So the skirmishes have been a great stopgap to get him this far, but it's saying that Draken has got a bunch of trebuchets there ready to go to take out those rear side town centres. He's trying to keep forward with these ones as well so I can snipe some of the production by the looks of things. NBL trying to work away at all of these cavaliers, but it looks like they've picked off the bulk of the arbalesters, so it's looking really yucky here for NBL. How is he going to be able to get through this? Draken Krebs coming forward once again. He's cleared all of this space, continues to clear more and more. NBL winning on the water at the moment, so it's seemingly forcing Draken back on this left side once again. More production of NBL's being sniped though, so Draken, a huge force of cavaliers, so able to push forward into the arbalesters, because I think NBL may have slightly too much here on the water as such, because oh well, he's nowhere near maxed out anyway. So NBL, his army finally starting to crumble, and GG. It felt like it took an eternity for Draken to cut through there. Like NBL, he seemed to be behind from like later feudal, or well, from castle through the end of the game, but man, he really made Draken work for that. Having to pincer both sides of the base, creeping forward with the trebuchets, and continually having to take out town centres and castles. What a game, guys.